Yes, sirree, there's a quality Toyota there. Guy really takes care of his car. I think this Prius needs a little bit of work from his owner. We're at our garage and test facility. Let's see why we're rolling out this video. A 2022 Toyota Corolla, but this is a special one, I'm told. Let's take a closer look. This is the upgraded Apex, which means it costs more money, of course. On the Apex, we're getting a front spoiler underneath the grille, indicating a performance mod. A performance spoiler on the rear, although it appears to be more cosmetic than function. Instead of the puny 15-inch wheels, large 18-inch wheels, and performance tires from Michelin. A performance exhaust. And things we can't see, they lowered the car half an inch, put in our roll bars, stiffer springs, redid the shocks. Bottom line, they've retuned the Corolla for maximum cornering and handling ability. How does it affect the ride? We'll find out a little bit later. If we're getting a performance suspension, you think we might get a performance modified engine. Not the case, just the standard 2-liter 169 horsepower unit, maxing out at 6,600 RPM, torque 151 foot-pounds at 4,400 RPM. I can give Toyota a pass on this. They probably didn't have a more powerful engine to drop in, and they're certainly not going to spend the money to modify this motor just for a limited production vehicle. So with the modified suspension, I would certainly want a 6-speed manual transmission. We got a CVT automatic instead, but they do offer a 6-speed manual if you order it, which would make more sense for this combination, I think. You do get a sport mode to beef up the CVT for better performance. If you have to shift for yourself, there are paddle shifters on the steering wheel simulating 6 gears. Although I think the manual will be a bit more fun. But you have a choice, so yours to take. The Apex comes standard with all kinds of luxury goodies as well. I won't read them off, just scroll down briefly. Here's the total tab, which is reasonable considering all the equipment, although I found it insulting they're charging $249 for carpeted floor mats. I mean, come on, guys, really? They just can't help themselves, can they? By the way, with the CVT automatic, here's the clean fuel economy, 34 overall. It drops to 31 overall with the 6-speed manual. The main competition for the Toyota Corolla Apex is this Honda Civic Si. This Si has a performance suspension, a 6-speed manual transmission. The difference is, under the hood, a performance 200 horsepower turbo engine. More ponies for the Honda, less for the Corolla. Both the Honda Si and Corolla Apex are about the same price tag. We're going to do a complete road test on this Honda. Have the video posted in about a week, so subscribe so you don't miss the comparison. As far as the rest of the cabin, a large glove box, which has more room if you take out that super thick owner's manual. That's a big one. Look at that monster. You really going to read all that? Put it back in the trunk. A very simple climate control system. Just a couple knobs and buttons, the way it should be. A decent sized info screen. A nice gauge cluster where you can see it. Right now I'm in the shade. There is one problem that other YouTube testers don't tell you about. They see it, they know it, they're just scared to tell you for some reason. I guess they want to make Toyota mad. And I'll show you that right now. And now we're out in the sun. You see the plastic cover over the gauges. Creates all this reflection and glare. What puzzles me, they have a test track in Arizona where the sun shines like 99% of the year. Nobody noticed this. Or maybe they did, it was just too late to fix it. This is just really not acceptable. They really should fix this. We get a nice large trunk, and one of the first things we do when we get a vehicle is check and see if there's a spare tire, because a lot of vehicles don't come with them anymore. Good for the manufacturers to save money, not good for you if you get a flat. Yes, there is a spare under there. A tiny one, but that will do. And some tools. And we're also going to take these LED headlights out in the dark later on in the video and see how they perform. That's part 3 of the video. Now we're going to do part 2 and go out and do some driving. Alright, let's look at the positive features of this performance suspension. And the first thing it does is definitely improves the steering on the Corolla. Seems to be a lot sharper and quicker for some reason. I don't know the mechanics, I just know it's more pleasant to use than the standard Corolla. Now let's take our turning circle and see how much body lean we've gotten rid of. Yes, it's definitely corners better than the standard Corolla. These big tires help. I'm very impressed. Well, according to the internet, the ride quality of the Apex is pretty vicious and stiff. Let's take some speed humps at 15 miles per hour and find out. Here comes bump number 1. Oh, felt that one. That was a big bump. Number 2. And number 3 coming up. And the biggest bump of all. We've got some giant potholes. I'm going to do it at 10 miles per hour. Here's one. There's a deep one. Yes, definitely some stiffness, but that doesn't mean it's going to be unpleasant on the pavement. Be taking that out later to see what happens. We'll put this in the sport mode and do a 0 to 60 run. Yeah, it's trying. Definitely got nice brakes. We're going to take this car on a highway trip, approximately 100 miles, see what type of fuel economy we can get. By the way, this performance suspension does pretty good on smooth pavement. As long as you don't hit any potholes or speed bumps, but I don't think we're going to have that problem on this interstate. We're coming to the end of the line, and unfortunately I do a lot of passing because we have a lot of trucks and slowpokes on the road. So I think I lost around 3 or 4 points on my fuel economy. I was doing 37 in PG. Well, we'll see. Well, 35.4, 35.3, pardon me. That seems reasonable enough. Alright, we just finished the second highway fuel economy test. Wind was pretty bad out today, pushing the vehicle. Don't know if that's going to make the figures go down lower than normal, but let's pull over and see what the numbers say. Oh, that was a nasty hump. I am getting used to the stiff suspension, though. After 3 or 4 days, it doesn't really bother me. Well, if you can see through that plastic cover glare I bitched about earlier, 38.6. Can't complain about that. Let's see if I can take my hand and block out the sun here. There you go. Toyota, you need to fix this. It's very annoying. So what's my take on the Toyota Corolla Apex after a week of driving? Personally, I think the standard Corolla is more than adequate for most of your needs. However, if you want a performance Corolla, you're 1/3 there with the Apex suspension. You're 2/3 there if you order the 6-speed manual transmission over the CVT. Unfortunately, you can be 3/3 there because there is no turbo engine from Toyota, which would be a total package. But this motor is adequate, decent power, good economy. I can live with it. So Toyota, if you're listening, give us a turbo engine, please. By the way, if you want a 6-speed manual transmission, it is available in the Toyota hatchback without the Apex suspension. Alright, before we go, let's take a look at the headlight test. And we'll do that right now. Alright, it's dark enough. Let's check out these lights and see what happens. Here we have the low beams on a wall 33 yards away or 100 feet. Very bright, good height, good spread. Go to high beam. Excellent, very good height, wide spread, strong beam, no complaints here. And here are the brights on the building up to 330 feet away. Really reaches out. And here's what they look like on low beam when you're facing them. One strong light by itself on the left. Now the high beam. Taillights are small but certainly bright enough. Emergency flashers with the taillights off. Got it on the outside mirrors too on this model anyway. This is optional. And the front. But almost invisible with the front headlights on. You want someone to see them, better to turn them off unless you're driving. Of course you can't do that. Same with the rear. And there are two things I do not like on a motor vehicle. That is the interior lights that come on and you cannot turn them off and disconnect them. And I've gone through this vehicle left and right. There doesn't seem to be a way to disconnect these interior lights when you open the door. That I do not like. And another item I despise, automatic dimming mirrors that can't be shut off, but this is a manual mirror. Up to turn off, down to activate. This is what I would like to see on all vehicles, but not to be. So thumbs up for the mirror system in this car, thumbs down for the automatic lights that they can be shut off once the door is closed, but not when the door is open. Now that the doors are closed, yes, we can turn them off then. Also, the controls for the inside lights are too close to the emergency button, which you'll end up pressing in the dark by accident. I'm not picking on Toyota here. This seems to be an issue with lots of vehicles. The emergency button should be elsewhere, not around a light cluster and other buttons for the sunroof, but that's just the way it is. And here's what the rear view camera system looks like when you put it in reverse. Not the best clarity I've ever seen, but more than adequate. Gauge cluster lights up fairly well. Well, let's turn up the dial a little bit. Now it's really visible. These are the steering wheel controls. And the lights for the transmission shifter. Other buttons. And the buttons for the heated seats. And the brights do a pretty good job lighting up all the signs down the road. Overall, these are excellent headlights, and all the other light functions on the vehicle are pretty good. Aside from the interior lights that I bitched about, you'll be fine. And by the way, that reminds me, every time you pull up into your garage and turn the engine off, the interior lights come on then too. If you know how to disconnect this system, make some comments below, because I haven't been able to figure it out. This is blinding me, killing my night vision, and I don't like this at all, but guess we're stuck with it. Yeah, now it goes out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. And here are the brights on the building, up to 330 feet away. Really reaches out.